Hi, Shelley from Spin Cushions here, and I'm going to show you how to make this pattern from my Siren's Atlas collection called Azov. It's got a funky centre, different start, which I quite like. So, and lots of spike stitches too. Anyway, let's get started. I'm going to make mine in a single colour. You can make it in as many colours as you like. I will just let you know if you need to do anything different when it comes to ending each round if you are changing colours. What am I doing? I'm not starting with a magic circle. This time, attach your yarn to your hook with a slip knot, and we're going to chain 8. Don't do them too tight or too loose. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And keep them nice and even. Then, this is how we're making that centre part. Making sure you keep it, I'm just sort of twisting it around and going, so I'm forming a loop, and in that very first chain, you can see that there's 3 strands, 1, 2, 3. I want to go over 2 of them, so in there, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch, possibly. Okay, so we have a little ring of chain, and we're going to be working into the chains instead of over them as you normally would. Don't worry about that funky bit, it will all be good. Alright, so now we're going to chain 3 starting chain, and we're going to do a WKWS in the same place that we joined our slip stitch to. So looking at the chains, making sure they're at the front. We're going in here. I can stop my... Okay. Now we're going to chain 2. And working over that little tail at the back, in the next chain we are going to do 2 trebles UK doubles US, again over the top 2, just into that bottom little loop. 1, 2, chain 2, and same thing all the way around, just into that bottom loop of the chain, working over that tail as well as you go. Oops. Anyway, I will do that all the way around and show you what happens at the end. Alright, I haven't quite finished my repeats, I just wanted to show you at the end. So it looks a little bit different. So I've done 7 groups of 2 stitches, but we still have one more chain to work into, this one here, but it looks pretty small. But it's just exactly the same, just poke your hook in there. Done. So now I have 16 stitches, or 8 groups of 2 stitches. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1, chain 2, join with a slip stitch if you are changing colours here. If you're not changing colours, chain 1 and join with a double crochet UK, single crochet US to your first stitch. What that does is it puts us as if we're in the middle of the 2 chain space. So that stitch takes the place of the second chain, that's the first chain, that's the second one. Alright, round 3, chain 3 or starting chain or false stitch. Now we're going to do 2 trebles UK doubles US over that joining stitch. So that's just in that big hole. So just pretending that that stitch is a chain. Oops, sorry. 2. Then we are going to skip 2 stitches and in the 2 chain space do 5 trebles UK doubles US. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, And that's all we do. We're just doing 5 stitches in every 2 chain space. I'll work around and show you how to finish it off. It won't be long. Okay, repeats are done. I just need to do 2 stitches in the same place as our first ones. And join with a slip stitch to our first stitch, whether that's 3rd chain of your starting chain or a false stitch like I did. Alright, now the next round, chain 3 starting chain or a false stitch, then we're going to chain 1, skip 1 stitch and do a treble UK WS in the next stitch. And we're going to do that all the way around, so nice and easy and quick. So I'll do that and show you what's next. Okay, I've done that all the way around. I've done my last chain 1, skip 1 stitch and join with a slip stitch to the first one. And don't worry if it's a little bit cupped at this point. The next bit will straighten that out. Alright, we're going to do a double crochet UK, single crochet US in the same place as our slip stitch. Then we're going to do a spike, double crochet UK, single crochet US into the stitch that we skipped below. And that's all we do all the way around, a stitch in each stitch and a spike stitch. Remember, pull up a long loop in the stitch that we skipped before. So I will do that and show you what's next. Okay, all the way around you can see it's pretty well flat now, magic. Now I just need to join with a slip stitch to our first stitch. And we're going to do what we did a couple of rounds ago again, almost. We're going to chain 3 starting chain. And we're going to chain 2, skip 1 stitch and do a treble UK WS in the next one. So we're skipping the spike stitches, chaining 2 and doing a stitch in every stitch. It's not a spike stitch. Skipping the spike stitch, I mean to say. Skip the spike stitch, stitch in the next stitch. Right, do that all the way around and I'll show you what's next. Okay, I've done all my repeats. Just need to join with a slip stitch to my first stitch. Alright, and again, be a little cupped, but don't worry about that. Okay, next round, nice and easy. Double crochet UK, single crochet US in the same place as our slip stitch. Then 2 double crochets UK, single crochets US in the 2 chain space, 1 stitch in the next stitch. So all the way around, 2 stitches in the 2 chain space, 1 stitch in every stitch. So I'll do that and show you what's next. Alright, there we go, that round done. Just need to join with a slip stitch to the next one. Now it might be a good idea to check to make sure you've got 60 stitches because we're going to start to square off in the next round, and if you don't have 60 then it's not going to work. Alright, now the instructions are quite long for this round, but it's really not that difficult. I just had to spell it all out because it's using different stitches. So we start with chain 3 starting chain or a false stitch, chain 1, then a treble UK or a WS in the same place as our slip stitch. Then we're going to chain 1, skip 1 stitch, do a treble UK WS in the next stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, and we'll do a half stitch in the next one, half treble UK, half WS. Then we're going to chain 1, skip 1, do a double crochet in the next stitch. Then we're going to chain 2, skip 2 and do a double crochet in the next stitch. Then we're working our way back up, so chain 1, skip 1 stitch, half stitch, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, treble UK WS. Chain 1, skip 1, and we're ready to do our corner, which is going to be 1 stitch, chain 1, 1 stitch, chain 1, 1 stitch. So 3 stitches separated by 1 chain space. Okay, so that's our corner, and that's our side. So I'll go all the way around and show you what happens next. Alright, repeats are done. I just need to do a stitch in the same place as our first stitch. Chain 1, join with a slip stitch to that first, oops, what have I done? Stitch. Okay, next round. This might be a little bit interesting, but you can do it. So starting off with a double crochet UK, single crochet US in the same place as our slip stitch. Now we're going to do a spike stitch in the same stitch that the corner stitches are worked into. Oops, sorry, I did a yarn over first, didn't mean to do that. Then 3 times we're going to do this little repeat. Stitch in the next stitch, double crochet UK, single crochet US, then a spike stitch in the skipped stitch. That's 1. 2, 3. Now you notice your spike stitches get smaller because they're like this one's next to a double crochet UK, single crochet US, this one's next to a half, this one's next to a full. So they will just naturally be the right size, so don't worry about that. So then we've done that. Then we're going to do a double crochet UK, single crochet US in the next stitch. And remember we skipped 2 stitches? We're going to do 2 spike stitches in a row. And one in the stitch in the next stitch, spike in the skipped, stitch in the next stitch, spike in the skipped, stitch in the next stitch, spike in the skipped, now when we get to the corner it's where it's a little bit different. So we stitch in the next stitch and we do our stitch in the same stitch, our spike stitch. We've got that one chain space there, our spike stitch in the same place that our corner stitches are worked into. Then in the middle of the corner stitch we're going to do a double crochet UK, single crochet US, chain 2 and another stitch the same. And then we're back to the start again. So we're starting with our spike stitch in the same stitch as our corners. So you'll see that your corners have 2 spike stitches going into the same stitch. So I'll work my way all the way around doing that and show you what's next. Alright, I'm almost back at the end, at the start I mean. So I've done a stitch in that stitch, I've got one more spike stitch to do in here, and then do a stitch in the same stitch as our first stitch, which is right here. Then we're going to chain 2, join with a slip stitch if you're changing colours. If you're not changing colours, chain 1 and join with a double crochet UK, single crochet US. Alright, one more round to go. Really, really easy. 2, chain 3 starting chain or false stitch, and then it's just a treble UK, double US in every stitch along the side. Our corners are 1 stitch, 2 chain, 1 stitch, all trebles UK, doubles US. So we'll do that all the way around and show you what happens at the end. Okay, your repeat's all done. Just need to do a stitch in the same place as our first stitch, which is in here. And then chain 2, join with a slip stitch to your first stitch, whether that's the 3rd chain of your starting chain or full stitch. Oops. I'll fix that up. Goodness me. I did a good job of that. Okay, so there we have it. Azov from Siren's Atlas collection. This is Bendigo Wool and Mills cotton. It's about the same size as the Cascade Ultra Pima cotton. Relatively flat too. Will benefit from a little bit of blocking just to make it nice and flat. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed making it. Thank you so much, and check out spincushions.com for some more crochet fun. Bye.